Hi everybody, we're going to be talking about the 8th grade Common Core notes from lesson 10.4, which is talking about zero and negative exponents. There are two rules at the top that you will be expected to come into class knowing. If at any time during the video you need to go back, I highly recommend you going ahead and re-watching for any clarification. Please use questioning on the side for anything you need clarified in class, or send me an email. The goal of this for you to have a basic understanding of the rules and some of the examples of and how they could be used. It's encouraged for you to watch the video at least 2 times. So the first part of the notes is that these are 2 rules that you are being expected. This is saying that if there is a base of a and the exponent is 0, that it equals 1. So anything to the 0 power equals 1. The second rule says that when you have a base of a and a negative exponent, you simplify that by moving the base and the exponent to the denominator. So a to the negative n is the exact same thing as 1 over a to the positive n. So you've taken it from the numerator and moved it to the denominator in order to simplify it and eliminate the negative. The first 3 examples, we're going to simply evaluate. In example 1, it says 3 to the negative 4th. Because negative 4th is a negative exponent, I simply go ahead and move it to the denominator. So 1 over 3/4 is the exact same thing as 3 to the negative 4th. Now I have to evaluate, and evaluate means go as far as I can go, do all the math that I can. And I know that 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. So I evaluated or simplified 3 to the negative 4th as being the exact same thing as 1 over 81 in simplest form. In example 2, I have a negative exponent in my denominator. In order to eliminate that negative exponent, I simply go ahead and move it to it's in the denominator, I'm going to move it to the denominator, or the numerator. So 1 over 8 to the negative 2 is the same thing as 8 squared. And 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. In example 3, I'm going to use my rules from the quotient power property, in which when I have the same base in the numerator and the denominator, I subtract my exponents. So I have 6 minus 8. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. In order to evaluate 2 to the negative 2, I simply rewrite it as 1 over 2 squared. And 1 over 2 squared is 1 times over 2 times 2, which equals 4. So let's clarify what you've done here. You've gone ahead and taken that negative exponent and moved it into the bottom in example 1. You've gone ahead in example 2, taken that negative exponent in the denominator and moved it to the numerator. And then in example 3, you've gone ahead and used your quotient power property rules to subtract 6 minus 8, getting negative 2, and then having to move it to the denominator to make it positive and evaluating. Now we're going to use the same rules, but we're going to go ahead and simplify expressions, and the directions state to simplify using only positive exponents. So in the first example, I have negative 5 times x to the 0. X to the 0 represents 1. So really I have negative 5 times 1, which is negative 5. Remembering the rule of anything to the 0 exponent ends up being 1. In my second example, I'm going to use my quotient power property. I have a 9. My bases are y, so I have y negative 3 minus 5. That ends up being 9 times y to the negative 8, because negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Now, this is a negative exponent. I need it to be positive. 9 has a positive exponent as 1, so that doesn't need to move at all. My exponent for the y is negative, so that's what has to move. The biggest mistake I see is that kids want to move the 9 to the denominator. It is a 9, it's in the numerator. Y to the negative 8th needs to move the denominator so that 8 changes from a negative to a positive. So I've gone ahead and subtracted. I have a negative exponent with my y, 9 stays, y moves to the denominator to change positive. In example 6, the powers property of multiplication, or product property, it means that I'm going to multiply 3 and 4. That's 12, because those are my coefficients. My bases are d's. One has a -5, one has a 4. So when I'm multiplying the same base, I add my exponents. So that's -5 plus 4. I end up with 12d to the -1. Well, the directions state that I have to use only positive exponents. 12 stays and d goes to the denominator to be positive. So I've multiplied my coefficients for 12. I've added my exponents for -1, and then I've moved that d to the -1 into the denominator. As we work on these notes, the rules at the top are essential. You have to come in class knowing those 2 rules. Please, at any time during the video, you should be starting and stopping, writing questions. Be prepared to ask those questions or send them via email. Please remember, 2 times for watching this video. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.